Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally made it to the end of the first season of Spartacus Blood and Sand. Welcome to another episode of Jupiter's CROCK. My name is Matthew. Joining me once again here in our ludus, so to speak, in our YouTube ludus, is Ronan.
Yes, Ronicus Maximus.
And the great Ploticus, Steve.
Yes, I'm here. I'm ready to talk about this amazing fucking episode.
Now, going into this, I hadn't rewatched this finale in many years, but going into it, I had a distinct impression I remember this being one of the greatest sort of finales to a television sort of season that I'd ever seen. And so I was curious to see, would that hold up in my mind? Did you guys have anything similar, or what was your mindset going into this sort of finale here?
I was hyped. Like I just said before we recorded, I have never not been hyped for this episode. This is probably the fourth or fifth time that I've watched it, because I've gone through this whole series multiple times. That's a testament to the series as a whole. I'm always hyped for it, and it's never let me down.
Yeah,
Frankie agrees.
Yeah, of course he does. I don't know how long it's been since I've rewatched at least the first season of this show, but there was no doubt in my mind that this holds up. I can't say that about the next two seasons. It's I don't know if these hold up, like that third season especially. But that's a random tangent. I know that this episode holds up. I knew it, so there was no doubt in my mind that maybe I don't know. Nope, wasn't there at all.
Yeah, and I know last week, Ronan, you had made a comment about, well, geez, why don't more people know about this show? Why is this not more popular than it is? And something just came to me. I wonder if people will revisit this now that they're making a new Spartacus show on Starz.
I hope.
With whatever it is. Maybe they'll go back and sort of revisit how excellent this was. Maybe they'll just start with the Pit episode and cut the first three out entirely. Who knows? But let's get into it. Ploticus, what's happening here in the finale?
This episode is all over the place, but in a good way. So it starts in present day, and then there's multiple times where it bounces back and forth between 2 days in the past and 1 day in the past and the morning of the day that it starts on. But the beginning of this episode is Spartacus and Crixus fighting each other. We don't have any real context for this yet. It's just Batiatus and Xena and a bunch of presumably rich Roman people in the balcony watching Spartacus and Crixus fight. And then
can I make my only critique? The only critique I'm going to have of this episode is right here. We mentioned this on a previous... I don't know if it was Gods of the Arena or earlier this season, but I think you, Steve, made a comment about how it's not clear how much time has passed between certain episodes. And last episode, it ends with Crixus. I actually counted him. He was whipped 17 times. His whole back was split open. And in this, he's basically immediately in fighting form. So how much time do you guys think actually happened between the last episode and this episode? Or do you think that the creators were like, fuck it, no one's gonna care that he got whipped on his back 17 times, let's just move it along?
Yeah, that's going to be an expensive prosthetic. I mean, he's already got the big scar on his back from Theocles. This is, what? Fuck it. We'll forget. No one's going to pay attention to that. That was the discussion. That's how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I could see roll with it being the behind-the-scenes answer.
Okay, that's my only critique. Moving on.
I mean, we can make that critique against probably the series as a whole. But yeah,
anyways, it's fair.
They're fighting, and then 2 days earlier pops up on screen, and we see Spartacus with Raskos, and Raskos is like, "You dumb motherfucker, are you really going to try to escape?" And Spartacus is like, "Yep, sure am." But Raskos says, not many people think you're the champion. Crixus is the champion, and I'm one of them. I follow the champion. That's not you in my opinion, so count me out. So Raskos is like, no. And so this is where we discover kind of the the split. Like half the gladiators see Spartacus as the champion, half the gladiators see Crixus as the champion, and all of Spartacus's supporters are fully on board with this escape plan, and all of the other people are like, nope, we're not doing it unless Crixus tells us to. So,
Spartacus's side is like, we can't actually win without Crixus and his men.
Yeah, and so maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that. I mean, 'cause surely, like, they didn't talk to everyone in the Ludus in the 24 hours since Spartacus got whipped. So I feel like some time has passed.
There has to have been quite a bit of time that's passed.
Yeah, it feels like, couple weeks later. Anyways, Doctore. We talked about this last episode, the first mention of Doctore's name. Doctore goes to meet. Well, hang on, let me back up. There's so much going on in this episode. There's a moment where Batiatus says, "I keep giving people good news, and they can't handle it. Like they keep kind of like treating me like crap." So I think the first instance is where he talks to Doctore. Doctore says, the Romans are treating the men poorly, and can we please do something about that? And Batiatus says, I'm not concerned about this anymore. I want to do something else besides be a Lanista. And Doctore says, like, you would abandon your family's legacy. And Batiatus says, oh no, I have other ideas. Turns out, Batiatus was drawing up papers to free Oenomaus and put Oenomaus in charge of the Ludus. So Doctore was going to become the Lanista. He was going to become the Batiatus of this house here. And Oenomaus doesn't really react. And Batiatus is like, I thought you would be happy about this. And Oenomaus says, I thank you, but there's something that's concerning me. I've heard that Barca didn't grant his freedom. I heard that you killed him. And Batiatus takes a moment, and he says, yes, I killed him, but I can explain. I sent Barca just to deliver a simple message to good Ovidius.
Yes, I sent the Beast of Carthage to deliver a peaceful message.
Just a peaceful message. Just, hey, how you doing? It's been so long since
There
I've
were
seen ya.
flowers, there was a little puppy, there was nothing violent that could have possibly... And then, suddenly there's a bloodbath. How was I to know?
Barca, against my orders. I had nothing to do with this. I told Barca to deliver a message, but instead Barca slaughtered Ovidius and his entire fucking family.
What I think is interesting about this scene, though, is that it's very clear that Doctore and Batiatus have a very unique, special relationship. Like, Doctore is a slave. Right? He's got no more standing or power in Batiatus's eyes in theory than Spartacus or anybody else. He's still a slave. But there's multiple times in this series where Doctore's like, hey, I need to talk to you, Batiatus, alone, without any guards present. And to Batiatus's credit, yes, he lies about the reason, but he does tell him, yeah, I had him killed. He could have said no, who told you this? These are all lies. I would never do something like that, Oenomaus. I'm granting you my freedom.
Batiatus is such a good liar. He knows when the truth helps him.
Yeah.
Did you ever get the feeling that, because this, as smart as Oenomaus is, this interaction suddenly makes you think it's maybe he isn't that smart.
I was like, why don't you wait?
Weird bullshit.
I was actually more thinking, let's wait until the papers are signed before you bring this up to him. Let's just hold off till the papers are signed. Don't ask these questions yet.
In the last episode, we mentioned that the showrunners intended to never use the name Oenomaus until this point, because I guess that would be a historical spoiler, because I guess Oenomaus gets away, and so by just calling him Doctore,
becomes one of
over
the main generals.
But Oenomaus, there were 4 main generals for the Spartacus War, historically speaking. So you have Spartacus himself, two Celts, one of them named Gannicus, the other named Crixus, and one guy named Oenomaus or Onimus, depending on how you pronounce it. And Onimus dies very early on into the Spartacus War. Spoilers, guys. Listen.
Anyway,
season 2's gonna get sad.
This is the first time that we've actually heard Oenomaus' name spoken, unless you did what we did and start with Gods of the Arena. But I had no idea that was intentional. Like because the show doesn't dwell on it. It's not like Batiatus says, "I'm going to set you free, Oenomaus," and then there's like this
musical sting
close up of Oenomaus' face.
It was probably more for like the super uber historical nerds out there.
Yeah,
that's probably what it was for.
Regardless, Oenomaus accepts Batiatus' offer and accepts Batiatus' explanation, but then Oenomaus says, was Asher involved? And Batiatus just straight up doesn't answer him. So Batiatus just says, you know what, when you're in charge of the Ludus, you're going to have to make a lot of tough decisions too, and then Batiatus just walks away.
Not his best lie. Not his best. I'm gonna put that like in the low barrel. They can't all be bangers, but that's not a good lie.
Yep. So then Batiatus goes and meets Xena, and they're preparing to celebrate. They're gonna throw a big party to celebrate getting Glaber's patronage. There's a scene. I'm losing track of when these events happen because the show jumps around, but Xena has told Alethea, you were in charge of securing the guests. You're going to go and get all of these fancy people and bring them to our Ludus. And Alethea does so. And then Xena says, you know what, it would be so great if Glaber was here to say a few words of encouragement to Batiatus, but since he's not here, we want you to say something. And Alethea says, that's fine, I'll whip something up. And Xena says, no, I've already wrote something for you. And so
script
Alethea's
is written, honey.
What's Alethea? She has a great line. She says, like, my hands are no longer my own, and now you want to seize my fucking tongue.
Yeah. I love the dialogue in this show.
Yeah, Alethea and Xena are talking about like the good old days when they were friends, and Xena says, there's no reason our new arrangement could keep us from being friends again. Don't you want us to be friends again, like in the good old days? And Alethea says, yeah, if I could turn back time, I would fix this shit. And then that's it for this scene.
If I could turn back time.
But
Content ID. So Xena and Batiatus talk, and Batiatus, they're trying to plan, like, what's the big event going to be? Like, because we can't just have people come out here for a party. We have to show them something. And Xena pitches the idea of, well, let's have Crixus fight Spartacus. Crixus is the only gladiator to ever defeat Spartacus to the death. And Batiatus is like, really? Like, you're still doing this shit? He thinks that Xena just wants to see Crixus punished at this point, and Batiatus is like, I don't know about this. But then Xena sells him on it. Xena makes her pitch, and it's like, no, like, imagine like how envious the rest of Rome would be that all of these rich Romans got to see the former champion fight the new champion to the death, and
exclusive event.
Yes, and how all of the Romans that are actually there, how appreciative that they would be towards Batiatus that they got this experience that none of the other Romans did. And so Batiatus is like, all right, you know what, fuck it, let's do this.
Son of a bitch,
so
I'm in.
That is the plan. That's the fight that we keep bouncing back and forth between. Crixus and Spartacus are fighting to the death. I'm trying to think. God, at what point does this episode return to the present? There's 2 or 3 times where we see Spartacus and Crixus fighting, and Spartacus is just trying to. Crixus is still not convinced, and so Spartacus is trying to talk Crixus into joining his cause. And Spartacus is also trying to delay the fight because he tells Mira, I need you to open the gates so that we can get out when it's time to get out. And so he keeps looking up at Mira, and Amira, like, she shakes her head, no, it's not open yet. And so Spartacus has to keep dragging out this this fight with Crixus. Help me out here. There's so much going on in this episode.
Okay, so that because that's the fight scene between them. That's the present timeline. But there is another so in the past timeline, Crixus is locked up after his outburst, and I assume he broke Asher's nose when they got into it because it's pretty bloody. But so Crixus is locked up. Spartacus pulls some strings to get Crixus unlocked from his confinement. Because, as Steve mentioned earlier, none of the Gauls are going along with him. Apparently, most of the gladiators in the Ludus, about half of them, are Gauls. So they go with Crixus. So they're all on, Crixus' side. So Spartacus is like, I need to get him out so I can try and convince him. So this is in the past timeline. And he pulls some strings, and Crixus is allowed to come out and train. Everyone cheers for them. They do some training, and they have a nice little bit of character moment where the two of them, they're not just talking about how much they hate each other and how much more powerful and strong my dick is over yours. The Gauls have let Crixus know that Spartacus is trying to plan an escape, and Crixus initially wants no part of it because his plan, Crixus, not the brightest of guys, his grand plan is
your mouth.
I'm just going to keep fighting, and I'm going to gain my freedom because he's actually seen it happen before. He knows that it is a thing gladiators can do.
Well, Oenomaus told him that Oenomaus told him, "Hey, man, I'm going to be head of the Ludus here. You're going to have a chance to get out here now." So Crixus actually has a lot to lose by going along with this because he fully believes that he can be the champion again and kick everyone's ass. And even when we get to the present day fight, even with what we'll get to poisoned, he's still pretty much kicking Spartacus' ass.
On par.
He's holding his own. Yeah.
Yeah. So
but they're having a conversation, and because the roles are sort of reversed, Crixus now 100% understands what Spartacus was going through when he first came to the Ludus, because he's now in that exact same situation, and Spartacus even does manage to kind of build a bridge between the two of them, and saying it's look, man. So as long as you're a slave and here. You can't trust that they're just going to give you the longer it takes, the harder it's going to be. You have to get out now if you want to try and find her. And Crixus and then have a nice little line where it's well, you know what? I think the two of us just we could have been brothers in another lifetime, but that's not going to happen now. And they make an agreement that if we're going to fight to the death. If I win. Well, if Spartacus wins, you're gonna search for Navia. And Spartacus says, okay, yeah, sure. And if Crixus wins, he's gonna make sure that Batiatus dies at some point. Which I don't know why he would do that, because that guarantees he never gets Navia back. But he agrees to this. Crixus is kind of dumb, but they power handshake on it. It's not the same kind of awesome, amazing handshake like
forearm
in movie Predator.
Well,
it's not the Predator handshake, the handshake that all handshakes are based off of, but it's up there. I'll give you that. It's high up there.
Yeah, so I think it's instead of trying to keep up with the bouncing back and forth, I'm just going to tell you what happens in the past. Spartacus is told. You're going to fight Crixus, and Spartacus. The whole point of the past part, the whole point of the past timeline here is Spartacus is looking for an opportunity to talk to Crixus so that he can convince Crixus. And so when Batiatus says, "Hey, you're going to fight Crixus for the amusement of everyone," Spartacus says, "Well, yeah, that's a good idea, but I don't want to fight a weak Crixus. I want to fight Crixus in his prime, so let Crixus start training," and that takes us to where Ronan described. Spartacus,
congratulations, you have 1 day to train.
Yeah. Spartacus and Crixus have their heart-to-heart. They make the promises to each other. And so that's one of the big hurdles that Spartacus has to get past is trying to figure out, is Crixus on my side or not? And you don't find out if he is until the end. Another thing that happens in the past is
another thing. There's so many things.
There's a lot of things that are happening in the past here. In this same scene where Spartacus says, "I want Crixus to be able to train," Batiatus tries to dismiss him, and Spartacus says, actually, there's something else I want more than sleep. And so Mira gets sent to Spartacus's room, and Mira's like, are you fucking serious? Like, you can't escape. It's ridiculous. That's a stupid idea. But Spartacus convinces her that, we're doing this. And so Mira says, all right, I'm going to help you escape, but in return, I want you to pretend that I'm your wife and have sex with me. And all I can think is, how unlucky can one man be? Like, a couple of episodes ago, he had to fuck Viva Bianca, and now he has, for the sake of the rebellion, he has to fuck Katrina Law. Like, I don't know what Spartacus did to piss off the gods of ancient Rome, but they must really not like him.
It's a fate worse than death.
Spartacus says...
Now, Stephen DeKnight on the audio commentary said that this was there was a huge uproar online with Spartacus fans that they had Mira do this, because a lot of people thought that Spartacus, because he's doing this for his wife, essentially, that Spartacus would not do this, and that she was sort of like bribing him into having sex with her, and it was looked at as problematic in some ways.
I mean, it probably is.
Where's Rachel? Rachel likes the show. Where is she?
Yeah.
Anyways, Spartacus says, shucks, for the rebellion.
I guess so.
If I must.
We also we haven't talked about Asher yet this episode. Batiatus and Xena want to make sure that Crixus loses, and so their plan is to poison Crixus, and they're very specific. It's like, we don't want it to kill Crixus, we don't want him to be knocked out, we just want him to be just a little off, just a little weak, to basically just guarantee that Spartacus will win. Aurelia, of all people, like, uncovers the plot and informs Spartacus. She thinks Spartacus is in on it, and Spartacus is like, I had no fucking idea. Spartacus also takes the time to actually tell Aurelia, finally, I don't know why it took this long, but he finally tells Aurelia, Numerius, the kid that we all hate, he's the one that ordered me to kill Spartacus.
The luckiest kid alive.
Aurelia, like, she still hates Spartacus, but now she's kind of got doubts. She knows the
seed has been planted in her mind.
Fault. Yeah, but she tells Spartacus that even if you didn't know that Crixus was being poisoned, I still want him to kill you because you killed Varro.
I mean, it tracks. Fair enough.
Asher tries to put the moves on Aurelia, but Katrina Law, Mira, saves her. Is there anything else? Okay, so there's one other scene in the past that I think is worth talking about, and that is Crixus is just about to drink his cup of, like, poison water, but then Xena comes out, and Xena's in his cell while Crixus is chained up, and Xena, when they make the plan to kill Crixus, Xena hesitates, and Batiatus, like, can tell that she's hesitating, and he's like, are you fucking done with this or not? He wants her to just move beyond Crixus, and she keeps saying that her hesitation is just because she's anxious to just get it done, and Batiatus seems to either accepts it or he just doesn't care because he knows that Crixus is going to be dead soon. But Xena does finally go to Crixus and admit that she is hesitating because she still has feelings for Crixus. Not only does she have feelings for Crixus still, she believes that she is carrying Crixus's baby. And so she goes to Crixus and tries to tell him, like, just tell me that Naevia didn't mean anything. Tell me that you're just a stupid man, and when you were presented with the opportunity to fuck someone, you took it. Basically, tell me that you want things to go back to how they were, and I will accept you back, and, you can be a part of your kid's life. And Crixus tells her that, there was a time that I thought about having kids with Naevia, and it shuts Xena down, and Xena goes to walk away, and Crixus has the cup of poison to his lips, and Xena says, Crixus! And he stops drinking, and there's a moment where you're like, is she going to warn him? what's she going to do? And she says, I didn't want things to end this way. And then she allows Crixus to drink the poison water.
Now, do you remember, like, when Batiatus is telling Asher, is like, hey, just a couple drops of this shit, because we don't want to...
He pours the whole fucking thing in there!
He just puts the whole fucking thing in there. That's why I was like, God damn, Crixus is fucking badass. If he's, like, putting up this much of a fight with this poison, like, going through his whole system.
Is there anything else we need to talk about from the past of this show? Because this show flips back and forth between past and present like 4 times. And it works. I'm doing it a disservice right now because it's a lot to keep track of. But is there anything else from the past of the episode that we want to talk about before we get to this final fight between Spartacus and Crixus?
I believe we hit all the high notes.
Yep,
Okay,
I think you got it all.
So, the final fight between Crixus and Spartacus. They're going back and forth. Mira is trying to get away to open the gates, but Xena tells her, no, I want you to stay here because I want you to be able to wait on all of our guests. And this balcony is filled with rich Roman people. And at one point, Mira just walks away. Like, she just leaves, doesn't even ask permission. So she goes down to where in like the wine storage room, and there's a guard watching the fight, and Mira purposely like drops a jug of wine. He's like, "Oh, apologies," and so the guard just goes back to watching the fight. She grabs a shard of this like ceramic pot and stabs the guard in the neck and kills him, and then frees the gate or opens the gate. And then she goes back to some area where apparently only Spartacus is looking, and she holds up her bloody hand, and that's like the nod to Spartacus that the gate is opening. That is the signal. That tells Spartacus that it's go time for the plan. So now he needs to know where Crixus stands. And so
I love that Crixus told him at the beginning. He's like, like at the very beginning of the episode, they set it up. Crixus is like, you've told my answer, or I've given you my answer. Now we're gonna finish it. So at the beginning of the episode, Crixus is like, we don't know at that point what Spartacus sort of asked him, whatever. But Crixus is like, nope, not gonna happen, buddy. I'm fucking killing you right now.
But during the fight, we see that Spartacus continued to talk to Crixus, and he tells Crixus, like, the House of Batiatus doesn't care about you anymore. They fucking poisoned you. They don't want you to be their champion. They're never going to let you be their champion. And there's a point where Spartacus kind of overpowers Crixus a little bit. And you see this look on Crixus' face where he's just like, fuck, Spartacus is right, and I hate that Spartacus is right. And so Spartacus kind of like just like slings.
It's like my reaction away when Ronan is right about something. Like,
oh, it's
fuck.
the worst. It's the fucking
Ronan
worst.
was right.
He's right about Star Wars.
Okay.
So Crixus, Spartacus like just slings Crixus onto the ground towards Crixus' shield, and Crixus picks up his shield. Yeah, it's a callback to what happened in the battle against Theocles. Crixus says Spartacus in this very like low voice, and then he taps his shield.
Well, he looks up at Xena first. That's the thing. Like, he looks up at Xena, and it's like they connect. I think at that point Crixus is like, fuck this shit. And then he turns around and
well,
boom.
Also, like, cut to, like, Crixus starts to tap the shield. Cut to Onomaus, who looks at this and he kind of like raises an eyebrow. So it's like the man who is too stupid to tell that Batiatus is lying to him is able to detect from this very slight like movement. They're like, oh shit, these motherfuckers are about to kill everyone.
Yeah. And Onomaus is hurt. It was supposed to be like Onomaus and Crixus like against whatever Spartacus wanted to do, and now Onomaus kind of feels betrayed at this point. Anyways, shield tap. Spartacus runs. He jumps up. He leaps off the shield that Crixus is holding, and Spartacus jumps into the balcony, and he's aiming for Batiatus, but Batiatus pulls another Roman in front of him, and so Spartacus stabs this Roman through the head, and Spartacus gets ready to fight again. And so Spartacus reaches back, and he swings the sword towards Batiatus, and then you hear the crack of a whip, and Oenomaus grabs Spartacus' sword arm and stops him, and then Crixus runs up and jumps in the air like he's about to fucking do a windmill dunk, and he slices the whip in half. And so now Spartacus is in the balcony killing Romans, and Asher gets pitched over to the side with the body of this first dead Roman. And then Crixus yells, "Kill them all!" And so all of the gladiators go. They're still chained up. It doesn't matter. They fucking full send towards Batiatus' guards, as well as the troops of Legatus Glaber, and it's a fucking fight. I give
Crixus some shit. It may seem like, I'm hating on Crixus. Crixus sucks. No, Crixus is great. I do it to troll Matt. But to give Crixus his props, there are two great shout dialogue scenes in this episode, and both of them come from Crixus, and that one shout of "kill them all!" It's just a great, yeah, that's right, do it, chop down the chains of evil. And he's got another one coming up in about 3-4 minutes or so from this point.
Yeah, so so Spartacus is up in the villa, trying to kill Romans on his way to Batiatus. And all of the gladiators are still down in, the ludus area. And Oenomaus goes to Crixus. Is like, "What the fuck are you doing? We were supposed to bring honor back to this house." And Crixus says...
a gladiator, I don't want to cut you off, a gladiator, for some reason, decides he's going to try and take on Oenomaus. And he doesn't even look at him. He just grabs his arm and just kind of tosses him to the side while we're walking through this pile of fighting to have this conversation with Crixus. There's just no fucks given.
Every part of this is great. But Oenomaus confronts Crixus, is like, "What the fuck? We were going to bring honor back to this house." And Crixus says, "There is no honor in this house anymore. Batiatus killed Spartacus' wife." And that shakes Oenomaus. He doesn't know what to do. But when there's a guard coming up behind Crixus, Oenomaus grabs a weapon, grabs a sword, and throws it and kills the guard. And Crixus yells, "You honor us." Rona, what's the line that Crixus yells?
Pass.
What? All right, never mind. Rona, you set it up like you had this big line that you wanted to yell from Crixus, but whatever.
I think he's talking about the one later on with Lucretia, right?
It's the second one with Lucretia, yeah.
Oh, I was thinking about, where he tells, he very sternly tells Oenomaus, you need to be honoring us, but that's fine. Shit. There's two fights going on. There's gladiators fighting down in the ludus. Spartacus is up top trying to kill Romans, and Batiatus gets into this room with all of the other surviving Romans, and Batiatus is like, "Everyone calm down. Everything is under control.
It's just another Tuesday.
Don't worry about it."
But it was
just
in fact
slave rebellion. And Xena's like, "Where the fuck is Alithea?" And she tells Alithea, "Get your men in here and fucking handle this." And Alithea gets this big smile on her face and kisses Xena. And
it's those kisses, man.
Alithea says, "I will make sure that you are properly attended to." And Alithea leaves, and she goes out to her husband's men and is like, "Bar the fucking door. Don't let any fuckers out."
I love Alithea. Oh, she's great.
And the guard says,
one of her friends is running up to her too. It's like, while they're shutting the door, turns back, gives her the most wickedly evil grin as the door closes.
Was that one of the friends that were making fun of her several episodes ago? All right.
Yeah, with Hinia or whatever.
So there's a guard that. There's a guard that says to Alithea, "What about the guests?" And Alithea just turns on him and is like, "I am the fucking Legatus' wife. Shut the door." And they do it, and they close the door. And so now all of the other Romans, aside from Alithea, are trapped in the villa and the ludus with the gladiators. And so they are just they're making their way through. The gladiators are slaughtering everyone. Batiatus actually kills a gladiator, though, and I had to look it up. It's like, how did Batiatus manage to kill a gladiator? But according to the Wikipedia, this gladiator doesn't actually have a name.
Of course.
Hamilcar dies. Guys, Hamilcar.
Oh, shit.
He died.
Now, to Batiatus's credit, this might go back to, the good Salonius thing, right? I guess if you're raised in a ludus from when you're a kid up, you might probably don't train hardcore with the gladiators, but I'm sure he's learned things over time and synthesized at least a basic ability of how to fight. So I could buy the fact that some gladiator just going nuts, and then
he has personally killed at least 3, 4 people in the run of the show.
Gladiators.
He's got the Well, he's
not
got
people
the killer.
with actual fighting ability.
That guy may not have been a gladiator. Instinct. We don't know. Did we see the mark on that guy? He might not.
We
have
don't
been
see the mark on
Wikipedia,
anybody.
The Wikipedia identifies him as unnamed gladiator.
Whatever.
Anyways, guys, Hamilcar. Remember Hamilcar? It's a big deal apparently that Hamilcar dies.
Not Hamilcar.
It's like the show treats it like it's this terrible thing. But at the beginning, when Duro and Agron are talking to Spartacus about who's on Spartacus' side, they say, "Yeah, Hamilcar's with us." And then when the rebellion starts, Hamilcar ends up being the first gladiator to die. And Duro or Agro or one of them yell, Hamilcar! Like, they're very... I looked it up, the only thing that Hamilcar has done in this series is...
He's the guy
shit on Spartacus.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene early on where Spartacus is coming back from the pit, and Hamilcar tries to kick Spartacus out of the slave room. So only gladiators sleep here, and Vero stands up to him. That's the only thing that Hamilcar does, but Vero and Agron are heartbroken that Hamilcar is dead.
Hey, I could have sworn this character has already died at least one other point in the show.
They make friends off camera. I mean, they're bros, they're brothers. They're dying, they're sad.
Anyways, gladiators are on a rampage. Crixus hunts down Xena, and Ronan, is there anything you'd like to say about this scene?
Yeah, this is probably the best shout line. If you're going to deliver dialogue in forceful shouting, this is the scene you watch, because he just walks up to her, and he has this very uneasy kind of quietness to him. It's like, where did you send off Navia? And just suddenly, from this low tone, just explodes into the most forceful, violent eruption of rage and anger that could possibly happen within the span of half a second. Just screams, "Wah!" This anger and force. It was great.
Manu Bennett is incredible in this episode. He's even in the last episode, just the acting, when he's crying with Navy at the end, and here where he's just full rage. I mean, excellent acting by Manu Bennett.
Yeah. It's there's a reason why of all the people in this show, I think he's the unfortunately I don't think he's done that much. I know he was in Hobbit. He was they put him in that Arrow show where he was a Deathstroke. I don't know what else unfortunately he's done beyond that, but he of all the people in the show, I think he was. I know Jai Courtney somehow kind of became a thing somehow, but he got the next biggest run, I think, out of everybody.
Yeah, he's a good actor, really good actor.
Yeah. I second that.
I'm gonna look up his IMDb here while Steve continues with the plot. What happens in this scene here with Xena?
Crixus, Xena tries to tell Crixus, help me and Batiatus, get out of here alive, and I'll tell you where Navia is. And Crixus is like, I don't fucking believe you. And so then Xena tries to use the fact that she's pregnant with, according to her, Crixus' kid. And Crixus tells her, I would rather the kid die than you be its mother. And so
watch it suckle. I think he says, watch it suck your breast or something.
Yes.
That is such a cold line, man.
And then he stabs her in the stomach, but he doesn't just whip the sword in there. He
it's a slow
pushes the sword into her stomach. And so then, prior to this, though, one character we forgot about prior to this.
Wait! Before you get there, can I tell you something about this scene in particular from the audio commentary? So Stephen DeKnight said that from the very beginning of the show, he kept trying to tell Stars,
this is how I want it to end. I want Lucy Lawless to get stabbed in the womb by Crixus. That's how she's got to die. And Stars kept saying, no, we love Lucy Lawless. You got to have her in the next season. We don't want her to die. And he kept saying, no, she's got to die. This is the story. This is how it goes. And they wouldn't let him do it. So he's like, okay, let's go ahead and start, but we'll bring her back. We won't actually kill her off. So we'll stab the womb. The baby will die, but that's how she will, sort of spoiler, live to the next one.
Stabs to the stomach are real hit and miss as to whether or not they're fatal in this show. Because not 5 minutes before this, Duro got stabbed in the stomach and died.
Well, it went way through him. I mean,
I was about to say, like, that wasn't like, that was kind of a, violently impaled.
I don't know. I feel like stabs to the gut are a real hit and miss. I guess it depends on where in the gut you stab them. Anyways, Xena has been stabbed. Her baby is presumably dead. And then we see, prior to this, though, we saw Aurelia. And Xena, it's like Batiatus, Xena, Aurelia, and Numerius. And they're trying to flee. And Xena tells Aurelia to take Numerius and hide somewhere. Stay out of sight. I'm going to go find Batiatus. And so Aurelia takes the kid into a secluded room, and she says, is it true that you're the one that ordered Vero killed? And
this kid next to
this kid's just like, oh, who cares about Vero? He was weak.
Well, he said he was nothing.
He deserved it.
Like, he was worthless. Like, who gives a fuck about Vero?
Yeah, and Aurelia starts crying. She's like, what did you know about him? What did you know about...
Her spirit snaps like a Twix bar. You watch it happen.
This acting is amazing. This actress was so good in this scene here.
Yeah, so she's like, what... she's telling the kid, it's like, you're talking about... Vero like you actually knew anything about him. Like, you didn't know Vero the parent. You didn't know Vero the husband that would kiss my cheek when I cry and sang to our baby when he was trying to sleep. Vero may not have been perfect, but he was mine. And she has this knife, and she just stabs the fuck out of Numerius multiple times while yelling, he was mine, he was mine, he was mine. It's fucking great. The actress did a fantastic job in this scene. And Spartacus finds her, and they stop. It's done. You got it. And then Oenomaus shows up, and Oenomaus and Spartacus kind of nod at each other.
We forgot to mention what Oenomaus was doing
I'm getting there, you piece of shit.
Get to it now, faster. Do it.
I will say before you move there was actually a scene shot where Oenomaus saved Spartacus from death right there, where it was one of the guards had come up after Spartacus had actually saved or pulled Aurelia back and was trying to hold her. A guard was coming up and was about to stab Spartacus to death, and Oenomaus saves him, and then they cut it out. They cut it out of the show.
Yeah. Well, in the scene that we get, Oenomaus is just told to watch after Aurelia, and presumably he will. But before this, when Oenomaus was told that, Batiatus sucks, Batiatus screws over everyone, there is no honor here, Oenomaus says, well, might as well go kill Asher. And so he goes and finds Asher. And he tells Asher, like, remember when I told you that if I learned that there was anything more to Barca's disappearance than what you told me, we would have a problem? It's like, well, I know that Barca is dead. And so Asher tries to defend himself, and Oenomaus says, you lie to just shuts him up, like, you lie to everyone you talk to. Do not fucking, try to weasel your way out of this. And so they have a sword fight. And Asher is no match whatsoever for Oenomaus. And so Asher is he thinks he's going to die, but he has this great scene where Oenomaus is just shitting on him. Like, you're not a man, you're not a gladiator, you're nothing. And Asher says, I built the house of Batiatus that you have now, I built it. Like, everything that I've done has, it influenced the house of Batiatus that we have now. And Oenomaus says, well, the only influence you have is your treachery. And Asher like takes offense to that because he says like, "You want to shit on me? Like, name one time that you or any of the other gladiators treated me with an ounce of respect. Like, you people have treated me like garbage since the beginning." And so, like, Anameus tried to like kind of take the high road, and I'd argue that Asher was right. All of the gladiators treated Asher like absolute dog shit. And so Asher...
This makes more sense having seen Gods of the Arena first, because I think like when we're first introduced to Asher in this season, he's already injured, he's already on the outs with all the other gladiators. But this is where watching Gods of the Arena first makes this sort of like passionate speech he gives way more impactful.
It's the one time he doesn't lie, because he's telling him the absolute truth. It's like, like he got the mark. We know he got the mark of the Brotherhood without going through the test.
Yeah.
Which, it wasn't like he tried to. He didn't plan to do that. There was no scheme for that. Batiatus just kind of forced that upon him, which royally fucked him over with the other gladiators and set all of this. Really, you could probably argue that's one of the more inciting incidents in the whole show is Batiatus doing that, because it does set Asher up to not be a gladiator, which does set Asher up to whisper all this bullshit into Batiatus' ear, which just fuels his worst intentions. But it makes him a permanent enemy with Crixus, which fuels everything else, along with him banging Navia just to spite him. It all stems from that. Thought
Asher was great in this scene. Anameus thought, like, I'm going to go kill this weak-willed person. And Asher cannot beat Anameus in a fight, but when it comes to, like, justifying the way that Asher's done, justifying what Asher has done, Asher holds his own, because everything he says to Anameus about you people treated me like shit, he's absolutely right about.
Well, basically, Asher's also telling Anameus here is like, he literally says everything that this house has now gotten, right? Because Anameus, he's always wanted to restore glory to the Ludus. Well, now that Ludus has glory, and I just love how Asher's just basically, that's all because of me. Everything that I've done, that's why we have all these nice things, and that's why, Batiatus is getting patronage, and that's why this house that you love so much is elevated. It's not because of anything you did. It's because of all of the shit that I did. It's great.
He has a great line where he says, "Every beam, every stone in this house bears the mark of Asher," and he starts pointing at his chest.
Yep.
That's a cool name for a band, the Mark of Asher.
Asher holds his own verbally, but of course he cannot take Anameus in a fight, and so Anameus beats him.
One-handed knocking him away.
Yeah, Asher starts like crying, and he's like, I know that I've lost. I just want you to kill me as you would a gladiator. Grant me this last kindness. And Anameus says, okay, fine.
Anameus, smartest man alive.
Anameus believes that Asher is done being a fuck. And so Asher gets down on his knees. Anameus has the sword above his head. He's going to kill Asher as he would a gladiator. And then Asher stabs Anameus in the leg and runs away.
And hides under a dead gladiator.
And Anameus is like livid, so he runs out of the room they were in, yelling for Asher. And Anameus like exits the screen, and then we see Asher crawl out from a couple of bodies he hit himself under. Asher is so good in this. All right, is there anything else that we need to talk? Any other important gladiator that we need to discuss before we talk about the actual final scenes?
I think we hit all the important notes there.
All right, so we talked about Crixus and Xena and Aurelia, Numerius. What's Spartacus up to? What's Batiatus up to? Well, Batiatus is basically surrounded by gladiators, and he's got a sword, and he's gonna put up a fight against anyone that comes near him. Then Spartacus shows up.
I love that Anameus tells Spartacus before this, is like, what, how many more people have to die here? Like, are we done yet? Can we go now? And Spartacus is like, just one more. just one more. And when Spartacus gets in that room, I love that all the other gladiators are not taking out Batiatus. Like, they're just holding him there for Spartacus to take him out. And I thought that was great.
They know what's up.
Spartacus shows up, and he tells... Spartacus shows up, and also Xena shows up, and Xena is bleeding from the gut, and Batiatus wants to go to her, and Spartacus tells him, how many men would you kill to hold your wife again, to taste her lips? 100, 1,000? He's like mirroring words that Batiatus
He's given the exact
on.
same speech.
And Batiatus just throws down his sword. Like, he knows that there is no way that he can beat Spartacus. But he tells Spartacus, is like, I fucking made you. I made you accept your fate. You fucked it up. And Spartacus says, go to your wife, lie to her, tell her that everything's going to be okay. And then he slices Batiatus' throat. And Batiatus, with like his last gasps before he bleeds out, tries to reach out to Xena. And I think like he barely makes it. Their hands are touching, and you see Xena's fingers kind of wiggling, so she's alive. And then Spartacus makes a speech and tells everyone, this is where we're at now.
Time to fuck.
You're all free. You're all free. You can do your own thing, or you can join us, and we will free our brothers and make Rome tremble. And all of the gladiators exit the ludus. Fantastic episode. Fantastic season, starting with the pit.
Now, interestingly enough about this last scene, Stephen DeKnight says in the audio commentary that there's no historical record for Batiatus dying during this, and they sort of tossed around the idea of like Batiatus not dying, but then they're like, well, he has to. For the story that they're telling, he has to. And then he's like, and by the way, we only had John Hannah for 1 year, and that was it. So he's like, they kind of had to kill him at that point in time. So, but yeah, Xena was supposed to die as well. But she lives on. And I echo what you said. This is an incredible finale. What I said at the beginning of this episode was like, geez, does this live up to one of the best sort of season finales I've ever seen? 1,000%. I think this is an incredibly satisfying. I love like the back and forth throughout sort of time shifts here leading up to the battle, and it's sort of playing with our expectations of what's going on. I think the acting is just incredible from everybody. Even sort of like the minor characters like Aurelia. So good. It's got all those moments that makes you just love the show, the reasons why you love the show, but then it has all that emotional weight and impact. 11 out of 10. This is probably my favorite episode of the season. Just overall, because it has so much gravity to what's happening with all the characters, and my boy Crixus, fucking badass. Love it.
Yeah, I like it because this is supposed to be the big Spartacus moment. Like he's gonna get revenge on most of the people who have wronged him. He still has to deal with Glapper, but it's like Batiatus is like de facto the main guy. So you would figure this would be like a more Spartacus kind of central episode, but no, I would more make the argument that this is more of a Crixus episode. He gets most of like the big kind of acting moments and stuff.
The last
Spartacus
two episodes
just kind of chops. Yeah, Spartacus just chops people up. Not to say Crixus doesn't do that either, but Crixus gets the big, heavy acting scenes, with the exception of that last speech, where Spartacus is like, giving Batiatus a speech and then talks to all the slaves and the ludus, basically letting them know it's like, I know a lot of you guys didn't want this to happen, but it's done. I did this because it is right, because it is just. Blood demands blood.
And Stephen DeKnight says in the audio commentary that when they originally were sort of writing the final script here, they had no idea whether or not Starz was going to renew him for a season 2. And originally, like, there was no big final speech or anything. It was basically like all the gladiators just sort of escape through the gates at the very end. And he actually wrote that speech in there because he's like, I have to do something in case we get canceled, that it sort of ends on a, we're going to go do this, or you guys can go be free and go do this other thing, but, we're going to make Rome tremble. If they wouldn't have done anything at all, it would have just kind of left it hanging as to what happened to all these characters, so he kind of had to write that final speech in there for Spartacus. Ronan, your thoughts on this this finale?
Great finale. Great finale. Great show. As I've alluded to before, great show.
Okay. A man of few words. But yeah, so that was the first season. First full season of Spartacus, Blood and Sand. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we get into Spartacus Vengeance. And this is going to follow basically what happens to all of our favorite gladiators immediately after the events of this. They've just escaped the ludus. They've killed 1,000 amazing, like, high-up Romans. You know there's going to be some repercussions from that. We're also probably going to talk about on the next episode dealing with the sadness that Andy Whitfield...
The elephant in the room? Yeah.
Yes.
The new guy?
Yeah. So... If you haven't seen the season 2 of Spartacus, basically Andy Whitfield, he got cancer and he passed away in between this and when they sort of made that. So we have a new guy as Spartacus. So we'll definitely talk about our thoughts and feelings. So I love Andy Whitfield in this role. I think he is perfect. And how we feel about the new guy who pops in, and can he sort of fill Andy Whitfield's sandals, as it were. But yeah. That's all we got. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
what?
Guys, all in blind. It's that time.
God damn it!
I'm doing it.
All in blind. Okay.
Man, I had so much money too. Fuck.
Fine. How much do I have? Like, oh god, I have 34,000 chips, and Steve's making us do this. All right. For Andy Whitfield.
Hey, you're free men. You don't have the mark of the Brotherhood. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
No, we're your
slaves.
slaves.
Go your own way, you can join me.
You son of a bitch. You know exactly what you're fucking doing there with this nonsense.
There it is. I'm all in. Gosh.
All right, come on. Are you in? Are you in at Pineapple Shirt? Oh, you pussy.
Okay, here we go.
I busted out like 3 times.
You little bitch.
I have not done good tonight. Pair of 4s.
Take cocks in hand.
Come on, give me 4s.
Oh, no. 9-3, no.
I got a 6. I got a 6.
I need a 4.
Oh, well, there's a 9.
Oh, no, that's for him. That's the other guy.
The ace.
I think I got the side pot, I think.
Yeah, I just lost a lot of money right there.
You know, you win some, you lose some.
Oh my god!
But at least I took you down with me.
I want to see like how many chips I have left here after all of that. Did I lose a lot?
700,000 chips left.
See, I gained chips. I have 44,000 chips. How did I gain 10,000?
There was a side pot. Like
okay.
That means
sweet.
That means that and no one else could match what you put in, and so there was always going to be like leftovers for you to take.
That's fantastic. I gained money. How about you, Ronan?
I don't know.
I lost everything.
And with that, we'll see you next Thursday.